When people ask me, do I like football? I say yes, I do like football. But not Burnley. Burnley can Sorry, lost my cool for a little second there. Hello guys, how are you getting on? My name's Aaron Kelly and welcome back to another episode of the Premier League Verdict, the show where we take a look back on the biggest talking points from the Premier League weekend. Once again, we have the graphic up in front of us, ladies and gentlemen, with our green, yellow and red box. If you don't know how the series works at this point, I don't know how you've made it to episode 11. If you haven't seen every other Premier League Verdict from this season so far, go back and watch them. We're not going to waste any time explaining how the season works here. Before we get into anything though, if you're not already, I'd love to ask you to subscribe to the Aaron Kelly channel. We're trying to hit 500 subscribers before the end of the year. There's already 100 new Aaron Kelly subscribers this year, so thank you guys so much for that. It means the absolute world, and shout out to all the new ones. You are very much appreciated indeed. Now, without further ado, let's get into the boxes for match week 11 of the Premier League, starting off with our green box. And the biggest talking point, I think anyway, of the weekend and the performance of the weekend goes to West Ham United. The fucking massive Irons have only gone and done it again. West Ham leapfrogged Liverpool into third with an unbelievable 3-2 victory at the London Stadium, and another massive result for West Ham United this season. David Moyes, I can't speak highly enough of the man. Since he's come into West Ham, he has turned that club around in the best way possible. I think when he first came in, he kept them up, but now he has really, to be fair, taken them to the next level, both domestically and in Europe. Obviously, they qualified from their Europa League group to the knockout stages after their win during the week against Genk. And obviously, Liverpool had a day's extra rest over West Ham after their game against Atletico Madrid in the week, but West Ham went out there and they showed no signs of fatigue whatsoever. I don't know why I said it like fatigue, but we're going to keep moving. The Hammers took the lead early on through an own goal by Alisson Becker. It was a corner from Pablo Fornals. There was a little bit of challenging going on in the middle, should we say. Ogbonna was involved, Antonio was involved. In the end, Alisson, not commanding enough in his own 6-yard box, punches the ball into the back of his own net to give West Ham the early lead. But late on in the first half, then Trent Alexander-Arnold equalised for Liverpool with a fantastic free kick, and one that we will be looking at doing for the November recreations. By the way, I know I've not done October recreations yet. Hoping to do that this week. I'm sorry about that. But at that point, really, it was anyone's game, and you kind of thought maybe Liverpool's momentum might see them through and might see them kick on in the second half. But really, West Ham came out in the second half a different animal indeed, and Pablo Fornals not awarded for the opening goal. There was no way you could have denied him this one, although Alisson got a fairly heavy touch on this one as well. Good work by Antonio in the build-up, slides him through, and Pablo Fornals doesn't even catch it that well. Gets a little bit of the midriff, maybe underarm of Alisson on the way through. Doesn't matter, went into the back of the net. 2-1 to West Ham, and they did not stop there. Kurt Zouma. I fucking love Kurt Zouma, man. This man. Although I can see why Chelsea sold him, I could see that he probably wasn't going to get the game time that he was craving. I was still sad to see the man go because he's just such a charismatic character, full of positivity, and I just love the man. And he got the goal for West Ham to make it 3-1. An unbelievable header, shocking marking by Liverpool, it's fair to say. Peeled around the back post, Liverpool zonal marking, and a brilliant header from Zouma to make it 3-1. A late goal, a brilliant one as well, by substitute Divock Origi, made it a little bit nervy for West Ham towards the end, but they held on for a massive 3 points, inflicting onto Liverpool their first defeat since I think like April or something like that. Crazy unbeaten streak comes to an end, and the only side with an unbeaten record in the Premier League now has been undone by the massive West Ham. An unbelievable 3 points, and 3 points that take them 3 points closer to the top. As I said, leapfrogging Liverpool, going level on points with Manchester City, now 3 points off the league leaders Chelsea. Are West Ham a title contender this season? God, that sounds even a bit mental to say, but I mean, who's to say? This is why we love the Premier League, isn't it? I mean, we've seen Leicester win it a couple of seasons ago. Who's to say West Ham can't at least put a challenge on, because they look absolutely formidable at the minute. They have a really good, strong squad in terms of both on the pitch or doing the business, but they seem like a really close group as well. Every man fighting for each other. David Moyes has got even quote-unquote flair players like the likes of Fornals, Ben Rama, even to an extent Jared Bowen, all working incredibly hard for the team. Their defending starts from the front. They're not afraid to go at the big teams, and that's what, Liverpool certainly found out today, is that West Ham, when they're on form, are very, very difficult to deal with, and that proved to be the case once again today. An unbelievable result for them, and on a weekend where Chelsea dropped points at home to Burnley, that would be a very, very tough one for Jurgen Klopp's side to take, and not an ideal result to get just before the international break as well. Let's move on to our yellow box then. Shocking moment of the weekend. To be honest, not really sure what way to phrase this one, but I'm going to give it to the amount of managers that are losing their jobs this season. We're only 11 games in to the Premier League season. I think there's 5 managers now who have all lost their jobs in the last couple of weeks as well, like very recent. I think Xisco Munoz was the first to get sacked from Watford. But then you have Steve Bruce, obviously losing his job amid the takeover at Newcastle. Eddie Howe looks like he's going to get the job there. Then, obviously, as recent as last week, Nuno Espirito Santo loses his job at Tottenham. Antonio Conte comes in for him. Then Norwich, who get their first league victory of the season against Brentford in a really important 3 points for them. Daniel Farke then loses his job. Like, the timing is quite impeccable. I know Daniel Farke, chances are he probably knew he was going to be sacked. He was probably told anyway. The timing still looks a little bit odd though from the outset. And then most recently, today, actually, well, yesterday when this comes out, but most recently of all, Dean Smith losing his job at Aston Villa after a run of really, really bad results, I think it's fair to say. I think since they beat Manchester United in late September, they've lost every single game since then. And with the investment that happened in the summer, obviously they lost Jack Grealish. They had money to spend in the summer. They seemingly spent it well, but something just hasn't been clicking recently. And you have to feel sorry for Dean Smith and for all the managers really who've lost their jobs. It's never nice to see, but like, football is a results game, and certainly over the last 15-20 years, you'd say, it's become progressively harder for managers to stay in a job for a long period of time, which is why really only the very best manage to stay in their job for an extended period of time, and sometimes that's not even enough. Like, it's hard to think that we'll ever see a likes of Sir Alex Ferguson or Arsene Wenger type job ever again at any Premier League club, because managers just simply aren't given that time, and as soon as things start going badly, boards are very quick to act. And look, again, as I say, football is a results driven business, and it's a big boy business, but you can't help but feel for some of these managers. Like, you wouldn't have said a couple of weeks ago you can't imagine Dean Smith getting sacked. I said the same thing about Nuno. Obviously, if you looked at Tottenham's start to the season when they won their first 3 games, we wouldn't have been thinking, God, come the start of November, end of October, Nuno will be losing his job. But yeah, it's a crazy business, but Dean Smith did fantastic things for Aston Villa, as did Daniel Farke for Norwich. Obviously got them a couple of promotions, obviously wasn't able to keep them in the division, but Norwich managers have always found that hard, so it's nothing to do with Daniel Farke so per se. But obviously I'm hearing Frank Lampard is being linked with both Aston Villa and Norwich in particular, and I think that would be a good job for Frank, but it'll be interesting to see how that story progresses. But the yellow box goes to the shocking amount of managers, 5 I think now, as I said, sacked within the first 11 games of the Premier League season. Unbelievable. Stinker of the week, here we are again. I could have, there was part of me this week was thinking maybe we could give it to Chelsea for throwing away a lead against Burnley, and really a game where on paper definitely Chelsea should win anyway, but then there's lots of chances. Ross Barkley, who gets his first start of the season, misses an absolute sitter with the game at 1-0, and just a lack of concentration to let Vidra get the equaliser. Obviously could have easily been given to Brentford for letting Norwich City actually win a game. The Norwich abuse on this channel, man, Jesus. And there was part of me that wanted to give it to Liverpool because of their performance against West Ham, but I just felt like giving West Ham the performance of the week was an absolute shoo-in. And I hate, you might not believe me here, but I hate to do this again, but the red box goes to Man United and to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I'm going to stick both of them in the box because another damaging defeat, obviously not quite to the extent of Liverpool a couple of weeks ago, but Manchester Derby, one of the biggest games of the season. Manchester City come to Old Trafford and beat them by 2-0, 2 first half goals, an own goal by Eric Bailly and one from Bernardo Silva via a big mistake by David De Gea on the way through, making it another defeat at home for Manchester United and leaves them now, it's like 9 points off Chelsea at the top, and obviously the likes of Arsenal have caught them and passed them out now at this stage. West Ham have won again, and Man City have moved even further clear of them at this point in the season. And again, I'm talking about the manner of the way United lost the game. Like, not many people would have been going into that game obviously expecting Manchester United to beat Manchester City, but you gotta have a little bit of pride. Do you know what I mean? Like, the players just down tools. Man City down tools in the second half, and it pretty much became a training game for them. That can't happen. That cannot happen. I don't know, again, whether it's down to the desire of the players. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doesn't have an identity as a manager for Manchester United. He really doesn't. But he decides to stick with the three at the back. That doesn't go too well because United are overly defensive and don't create anything. I think Ronaldo's shot in the 25th minute was possibly the only shot on target that Man United had in the whole game, which in a Manchester derby at Old Trafford is just awful. Like, just terrible. And he decides to change it up at half time. He takes Bailly off, who had just had an awful first half. Brings on Jadon Sancho, goes back to the four at the back and, you know, tries to make United a bit more creative, but it just didn't work. But at the minute, it's just bad, and I'm not going to keep talking here all day long about Solskjaer and how I think he should go and why the players aren't showing enough quality, because, to be honest, you've heard that story before on literally every football channel on YouTube probably at this point, and you've even heard it from myself. Those are the box for this week, lads. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you disagree with any of the boxes, do feel free to let me know in the comment section down below. Apologies for the lack of real life football content on the channel recently. I've just been incredibly bogged down, but I'm hoping to get a video recorded this week, October recreations that is. And I've also got the next episode of Recreating Your Club's Favourite Goals lined up as well with a very special guest, a West Ham fan. Cat's out the bag. We've revealed it's West Ham for the next episode, but that is okay because West Ham are the talk of the town at the minute. Hope you enjoyed the video, lads. Leave a like if you did, and also subscribe if you are new, and we will see you very soon. Good luck. I've been trying to find a way to